people? Welcome back to the podcast. We have been away for a while. I mean,
a long while.
A year?
Over a year.
Yeah, a year. But welcome back. So we have decided to change the name of the podcast to Future Archives, basically a name that represents everything that we do, everything that we love, but more so moves us away from just talking about things that resell. Like, we're not just going to be talking about like the profits and what things are going for and blah, blah, blah. We're going to be talking about releases, the actual items itself, how they release.
Contrary to popular belief, we don't just resell. We actually love collecting. We love clothing, sneakers, collectibles. So I think the previous podcast was very much focused around what's reselling, how much. It was a lot of like this profit,
specifics,
that profit,
yeah,
how much
very
this,
much
how much
so.
that. And to be honest, as much as we really do enjoy that, we kind of think, let's keep that for our Discord, for our paid membership, all the nitty gritty stuff. This is going to be about passion. We're still going to talk about reselling, don't get me wrong, but we just want to separate ourselves a little bit and have the ability to talk about other things as well.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Because I think that's it. Like, I personally love when a new product gets, like the romance of when a new product gets announced, and then also like how to get it, the hunt to get it, then you get it in hand. That's almost like as good as the profit in some ways for me personally. But yeah, we just wanted to relaunch the podcast and be able to talk about, not limit ourselves with the things we can talk about, basically.
And we have filmed this, we filmed 2 episodes already, which we lost in a fire. Not literally, but
it's my bad.
We lost the files.
I fucking deleted them, basically. And the first episode was a banger. Yeah, I found the excuse of I deleted it, but really it was because I didn't have a shave and I didn't have a haircut. But here we are, back at it. So welcome back to the podcast, Future Archives. We're going to have guests on as well and talk about, releases and, have resellers on, personal shoppers, artists, creatives, like everything, basically.
Very quickly,
moving forward.
If you have never listened to the podcast before, because it has been a year, so you may have no idea who we are. You might be seeing this for the first time. Little rundown. I'm Luke, also known as Chef, I guess, is my Discord and Twitter name. I've been reselling now for, I think, 13 years, which is pretty crazy. Every time, whenever we make content, it started off at I've been reselling for 10 years, then it's 11, 12, 13, It goes on and on. So I've been reselling for 13 years, and I've also been, it's been a passion for 13 years. I didn't just start doing this purely for the money. I started collecting and very quickly started reselling because it was just so hand in hand. Eddie and I started Paragon, I think 5 years ago.
Yeah, must be.
Between 5 and 6 years, the Discord group or Cook group, whatever you want to call it, launched, I think, 5 years ago, pretty much initially. So we've been running that for 5 years, but previously before that I had another Cook group, if you care about that. But we also have Eddie here.
Yeah, so I'm Eddie, Popeye in the Discord. Before Paragon, I was just consuming and then reselling as well. I played music, and at the time I was basically not making any money whatsoever doing music. And going into London, entering all the in-store raffles and getting a few 350s and then selling them, and realised I made more money doing that. So that's where my personal passion came from regarding like reselling and, buying stuff with the intent to sell, I guess. But loved everything about shoes, and more so, I think my love of this world that we live in now came from the music side of things, like Kanye, then seeing what he did with Yeezy and seeing how he released stuff. I love that world, mate. I love how people can have a very cool, creative living or whatever it may be, yet they sell stuff through that thing. I fucking love that. Like how companies, and I mean Clint now is amazing at it, but how artists and creative sell stuff, basically. That's what I fucking love, and that's why we wanted to rebrand this, because we want to get people on who actually do that shit as well. But welcome back. We were basically we got too busy with the group, mate. I think people think Paragon is this huge fucking company, and it's
just us.
It's just us. We do everything.
And Kaz, and there are obviously admin and staff team, but for the most part, the work relies on us. And then you also, on top of that, are buying and selling hundreds of pairs of shoes and clothing items a week. it gets a lot.
It does
and
get
to
a
be
lot,
honest,
man.
when there's no like direct financial gain from the podcast, it's like
Yeah,
you're going to prioritize making money and working.
exactly,
We
man.
do really enjoy the podcast, and that's why we're kind of
Yeah,
kickstarting
we do.
it.
And hopefully, let's touch wood. I won't delete this one by accident. But yeah, welcome back.
Let's start off with what are you wearing? 'Cause
Okay,
we used to do that in the old podcast.
Shock. Cole Buxton t-shirt, Cole Buxton jumper, Supreme nylon trail pants. I hate that. I fucking hate that word, mate. It's one of my like icks. I can't say it. Trousers, and then I've got the Air Max Patta chlorophyll on.
Nice. That is, I think, the same outfit you wore.
Travesty
in the
that these
deleted.
are like retail or under retail. It's wild.
On the topic of pants, when I recently went
fucking
to Boston, and I was wearing my Corteiz tracksuit bottoms. Do you know the ones I mean?
Yeah.
They have the script logo written
All
over
over.
them. 3 times. I only wore them on the flight. 3 times. Someone at like security in Heathrow, someone on the plane, and someone at security the other side thought they were Cartier. 3 times on one flight. I've had that before, but I thought it was quite interesting.
Are you wearing them now?
No. Now I'm wearing Bape Crocs.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I wore them.
This is a very risky Ryan fit you've got going on right now.
It is, yeah, the Crocs.
Yeah, he'll be proud.
Bape Crocs, Cole Buxton like basketball shorts, Cole Buxton t-shirt, Chrome Hearts hoodie, and Boston Red Sox hat.
And a lot of Chrome Hearts jewellery.
A bunch of Chrome Hearts jewellery.
Man's not poor. Okay, cool. All right, let's dive into it. We thought this episode would basically a good place to start would be to celebrate some of the releases that have happened this year so far. Not really go into too much detail, but the list I've got on my laptop right now is huge, and I think it's safe to say that the world that we live in, whether you want to call it like reselling or streetwear or the culture or whatever it is, I always feel a bit. When I say culture, I'm like,
I think that's
can my history warrant that? I don't know, but
I
I
mean,
don't.
you've been involved in this world for like 10 years.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, all right, fuck it. The culture. There we go. I said it. Get at me in the comments. But it's safe to say that it's in a very, very good place. Like a lot of releases, a lot of good releases, a lot of good rollouts. That was a fucking tongue twister. Like the brick by brick. We had the Corteiz, obviously. The neons. Anyway, what I'm going to do is go down this very long list of shoes and product that have come out, and we're just going to briefly talk about them and let me know the first word, or I guess the first thing that pops to your head when hearing these things. So the first one, brick by brick. Banger. Fucking banger, mate. That is...
Overlooked, and the reason I say that is because I definitely overlooked that shoe.
Yeah, I remember the TikTok you made, and you were like, I don't know how I feel about wearing an all red shoe.
Like, don't get me wrong, I knew that they would perform well on the aftermarket and there'd be hype there, but I thought personally there was too much stock for the demand that there was going to be, but I was super wrong about that. Not to the extent where I didn't try to buy them or didn't buy them. But to the extent where I didn't think it would do as well as it did. And that's mainly, like I said in that TikTok you're talking about, it's a bright red shoe.
Yeah.
It's super loud.
In hand, they look so different though.
That's the thing. So on the pre-release photos and stuff and everything, it was so bright, and I was sort of thinking like, who's going to wear this?
Yeah.
Fast forward to now,
It's true.
I've seen loads of people wear them and pull them off well.
I haven't worn mine yet.
No, I was going to say...
that's why.
I didn't personal them, so I haven't gone as far to kind of go full 360 and say I want a pair, but yeah, they're super
Not now,
nice.
they're fucking extortionate.
How much are they?
I don't know, like 400,
Really?
easily, 450.
Yeah, I've not checked at all, but yeah,
wild.
great release that was.
Yeah, good shoe. I like the way he does it, mate. And yet again, circling back to the start of this podcast, like, I like the way he did it. You know, even just like the story behind it. I mean, every shoe of his has a story. I'm talking about Nigel Sylvester. Every shoe has a story, but like that shoe was amazing. Like the way he rolled that out.
I think it's incredible, really, that a BMXer even has collaborations with Nike. Yeah. Like, obviously, he is more than that now.
It's a niche sport for sure.
He's kind of like an influencer and a public figure, regardless. But initially, like, he started working with Nike purely as a BMXer, and a lot of people back then probably didn't know who he was. Now he obviously has partnerships with Mercedes and all sorts, but it's pretty cool to see. I mean, I personally used to BMX, so like seeing someone from that world, I would never have thought back when I was like 15 riding a BMXer that I watched would then go on to become more of like, kind of like the Michael Jordan of extreme sports in a way.
I guess, did SB ever dip their toe into that world? I know it's not skateboarding,
I
but
think...
do they?
Did he not do an SB?
Don't know. Have a look. Bring it up. We need someone here to like bring shit up. Do you know what I mean? Like Joe Rogan has. But yeah, that release was amazing, mate. I mean, I managed to pick up a few pairs on eBay after the early access, I think. Little side note. Early access, mate. When pairs go out through early access on the sneakers app, that is a good time to buy up a shoe, because the people who get early access, they haven't tried. They might not even want the shoe. They might not even be into reselling and know the market fully, full well. So that is a good time to buy up pairs.
Yeah, it's good.
What I mean?
We have a monitor inside of our group that just monitors, like we'll set a keyword. So Nigel Sylvester or Brick by Brick. And after the release, it will just give you a feed of all the recent listings. And you get people listing super low and you just jump on and snipe it, because like once you build that knowledge and you've been doing it for years, you can just spot when a shoe's undervalued.
Yeah. Mate, we did it with the neons, and one of the, I didn't realise, mate, but he was in the group. And then I went to buy a pink foam off him, and he was like, mate, do me a favour and like give me a good price on this.
What,
because
the guy that you bought
he was like, I didn't want to cancel, and I was like, mate, I appreciate that. But
sorry, back to this, he did do an SB, yeah.
He did.
It was a Dunk High, it's not very nice.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I don't know.
Interesting to know. Okay, brick by brick, moving on, we have got the Jordan 4, fucking hell, I just remembered another shoe. The Jordan 4 SB, and then also the Yuto, the Matcha, which was a good shoe, because I managed to get both in store. Weird to see where the SB is now.
Yeah, that's an interesting shoe to touch on, because I think there was almost people had too high expectations based off of the pine greens. It was never going to be like that. I mean, personally, I never saw it as coming even close to it. People still now are trying to push the agenda of like, oh look, the SB pine greens are going for £500. The navies are going to do that. They're not. It's not as nice. It's not the first of its kind.
Yeah.
And it's way less limited. So there's loads of factors that go into why a shoe's not performed super well. But I think this one, it just came at a weird time, surrounded by a lot of other releases.
Really good releases.
Yeah, a lot of Air Maxes, very kind of different shoes, and a lot of SB Dunks as well.
Yeah.
And it just came at the wrong time, too much stock. It's quite simple. It still sells out. Like, it restocks once a week on a skate store like Route 1 or Flat Spot. And especially in the bigger sizes, it goes very quickly. So it's not like there's not enough interest and demand in them. I just think there was too many pairs for it to have that instant bounce that the pine greens had. But as a shoe, it's nice. I didn't keep a pair because recently I've been wearing my pine greens and they hurt so bad.
It's weird because I think they're like
picked
the
the wrong
comfiest
size.
shoe. You must have, yeah.
They hurt my like
You must
pinky
have.
toe.
They're fucking amazing. I love that shoe. I've got 3 pairs.
What, of the greens?
Yeah, I fucking love them, mate. They're so good. What a banger. Cool, yeah, and obviously like around that certain time you had the Utos as well, which were like, I mean, a cool shoe. The details on that were really nice. I like that.
It's funny you say that because there's been so many nice releases that you kind of forget about a lot of them.
So especially this year, mate. We're in May now. It's like fucking hell. The list is endless, mate.
Should we talk about Air Maxes?
Yeah,
so there's been a load of 95s.
Brick by brick, Jordan SB4, pine green, fuck yeah, navy, Yuto. Moving on to the pink foams and the neon. The neons, mate. I chatted to a guy who works in size. I won't say which one. But he said they had 8 pairs of neons.
Like one of each size, basically.
And pretty much the staff took them all.
The neon release is the prime example of what you said at the start of this podcast, of like the kind of culture and the sneaker world and the fashion world is so like, maybe the resale market is not booming and insane, which it is doing well. But like, if you look at how many people are like willing to go to these drops, like you had the 95 neons. And I remember that on that day, there was like 3 other drops or 2 other drops in London. There was like a Patta sample sale and something else. And so essentially you had like 5,000 people in London queuing up for a drop.
Yeah.
It was a Thursday because you had Supreme as well. to think that there's that many people that are like going out of their way to go to London to queue up for these drops, it shows there's so much interest.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
demand.
I mean, especially with a shoe like that, mate, it's got so much history, and people knew it was going to be limited.
I mean, how
it
much?
spread like
How much were they
wildfire.
going for, the neons? Well, I mean, now you could talk about. It's been a while since the release, but
Like on release, like 330, 340 was like a good price to pay for the bigger sizes, I think, from memory. But now they're like, you know, 4, even more.
so that's like 150 to 200 pound profit on one pair.
Yeah,
Crazy.
wild.
And then the pink foam's obviously very similar release, a little bit more stock, but really not that much
Yeah,
more.
they were a shoe where if you wanted them, like you could get them in store for sure. I mean, like you just had to wake up a little bit earlier and go in.
I don't know though about in the big sizes, because it is a woman's shoe, right? So
Yeah.
the bigger sizes, definitely from 8.5 and above, were like so much more
Yeah,
limited.
but
than-
like I went to a couple stores and the staff were like, oh yeah, there was a queue at like 7:30, and that was pretty much it.
and then you got your size.
And then I got a big size. Yeah,
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were definitely tough though in the bigger sizes. Now the smaller sizes are like not really profitable.
Yeah,
like 20
yeah.
quid maybe.
Yeah.
The big
Depends what you
sizes is still quite profitable. They
yeah.
go for what, like 230
we sold a pair
to
yesterday for like
250?
330, which is cheeky.
330.
309.99. No, 309.
I mean, it's a great price for
yeah,
us.
that's it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but yeah, the pink foam, mate. That's one of my favorite shoes of this year, I think.
Have you kept a pair of those?
Yeah, I've kept a pair.
I was debating whether to keep neons or those. I couldn't justify neons because
They're too much, man. They're too much.
I have so many pairs of shoes.
But also, mate, the thing about a 95, that's one of the models, and I said this in the podcast that I fucking deleted, that out of all the models, every GR colorway is nice, basically.
yeah,
It's not like an Air Force where it's just like you get a white or black pair on, and then all the other colors are kind of a bit like, you know, you don't really see many people wear them.
Yeah.
Like an Air Max, you can go into JD now and buy an all black pair or a white grey black pair, or like they're nice, mate.
that's
They're
why
really
this.
nice.
That's why they're such a popular shoe. You see them everywhere.
Yeah, you
'cause
do.
You can actually go into the shop and buy a nice pair.
Yeah, same as the Air Max 1, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. The chlorophylls are an interesting one. Eddie's
Weird
been
to
wearing them
see.
a lot. I've been wearing mine a lot, to be honest. And they're a weird one because they're obviously an Air Max 2, but Air Max 1 collectors and wearers are like not necessarily Air Max 95 wearers and collectors. I feel like
Yeah, it's very
Air Max 1 is more actual sort of sneakerhead people. Because you obviously had the early days, you had a lot of collaborations like with Pata and Para and all sorts of collabs. Whereas the Air Max 95s, they didn't have those early day collaborations. So they were kind of like a general release shoe for much longer than...
That's a good point.
Whereas Air Max 1s, they kind of honed those in on sneakerheads. There's no real point to what I'm saying, but it's just more
No, it's a good
facts.
point. It's something I forget about, to be honest. But yeah, the pink foams, mate, they're so fucking nice, man.
They're very clean.
Fucking amazing. It's interesting, mate. We've talked about all of these releases, and we haven't mentioned how the group could help people get them. But like brick by brick, restocked all the time after the release on DSM and a few other places, Offspring as well, which was super handy. But yet again, going back to the original point at the start of this podcast, like we don't want this to be an advert for the Paragon for our group, because you know, if you know, you know, and
There's
if you
too many
wanted to-
people on the wait list anyway.
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also like we're not those guys. You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
If you
want
want to resell, if you want to buy shoes for retail, we're the place to go.
yeah,
to put it
exactly.
simply.
Yeah,
But you're
pretty
also
much.
going to be waiting a while because there's so many people trying to join. So
Yeah, I mean, there's questionably like a few people we could kick right now and open up space, but you know, we won't mention any names. But anyway, yeah. So the pink foams, the neons, they were fucking bangers.
let's talk about some non-shoes that
Okay.
that is very reselling focused because I couldn't care less.
Labubu.
Yeah,
Let's touch on that, mate.
So if you have been, unless you've been living under a rock, you will have seen Labubus because to most people, they will have seemed to have popped up out of absolutely nowhere. We have more because we kind of have a finger on the pulse a lot more with what's reselling, trends worldwide, etc. We're much more aware of them. But the UK popularity really has like popped up out of
Yeah,
out of pretty much
in a
nowhere.
month or so.
Yeah. Like from no one knowing about them to probably majority of people that
Yeah.
actively use social media knowing about them. But what it is, Pop Mart is just like a collectible brand, very similar to Funko or Funko Pops, if you know what those are. They're toys. the main appeal of specifically the Labubus, they do other models as well, but they're a blind box or blind bag. So you buy it without knowing what color or version you're getting. And I think that's where the real appeal of these comes from. It's kind of like gambling, right?
It's addictive, mate.
It's addictive.
It is. Like I opened a few up at home because my son wanted one. And then my wife originally was like, oh, I don't want one. Like, it's just fucking trendy bullshit.
Yeah.
And then another batch came through and she was like, oh,
I might see if
I might have, I really want the green one. I'm like, there we go. You've been roped in.
Yeah.
But yeah, my son didn't get the one he wanted, and he ended up opening fucking 3 of them. And I'm like, mate.
So yeah, so they kind of the main way that they emerged, I guess, into like our UK market is mainly through like K-pop and that sort of style and people within that world. They were very popular in like Thailand, Singapore, Korea, and then just literally what seemed like overnight. So we were buying them already at this point before they kind of gone viral at all in the UK. Like we were looking purely at the Asian market, buying them here, selling to the Asian market. And then I think the first like big mainstream person to post about them was Olivia Attwood. Since then I've seen Central C, Gemma Collins, and the list probably goes on. That's just who I've seen posting about them. Gemma Collins is quite the funny one. But yeah, it just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And luckily we had the knowledge and infrastructure already to kind of be prepared for going from buying a couple of them to just buying as many as we possibly can. When
we first got them, I messaged like a bunch of stores and I was like, oh, do you want the bundles? And they were like, oh, no, we're good. Like we've got one. Or now we're good in general.
Yeah, no one was interested.
And mate, like by the time the second drop happened, not only did the price obviously go up, but people couldn't get enough and still can't. It's wild.
Yeah, it is funny.
We've sold a bunch on our website.
Not to like toot our own horn or anything, but we were kind of bang on the trend. But almost to the point where like it was a little bit too early. Because I remember when we bought a lot of them. I shouldn't have sold. Yeah, we sold a lot of ours for too cheap, but I think there was initially a slight worry because we bought quite a lot on like one of the big restocks. It was the first drop of the V3, which is the big into energy. Bit nerdy, sorry if you don't know what I'm talking about. But the new version came out. We had been buying the previous versions anyway, but the new version came out and it was a bit of a gamble. It was like,
but they're cheap, so it's not.
They are cheap. They're £17.50 each, sell for like 50 quid, which is crazy margins.
Mental, yeah.
And then if you buy the box is 105, and they're selling for about 230 at the moment. So crazy profits on these. But at the time, there was no pre-sale data because it was the first release of the new version. So it was a bit risky. I remember when we bought a load of them. I think we checked out 500-ish in total or something. Some of those were for slots inside of our group where we run our bots on members' information.
Yeah, again, if you want to join, you know exactly where to sign up.
But that's that kind of in the same vein as Pokemon. Although Pokemon's not just a short little trend. Pokemon's obviously been around for years. It's been a big sort of focus of us for ages. We have old bits that we've invested in, but recently obviously had a bunch of different releases. Main one being Prismatic Evolutions and Destined Rivals. Prismatic Evolutions, crazy profits.
Yeah, we just sold 4.
Yeah, they're still like rolling out now. So we had the Super Premium collection drop the other day, which is...
It's down there, yeah.
40, yeah, that's why I keep looking down. I can't remember. How much is it? £90 retail. They're going for like 150, 180, double your money basically. And then the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes are £55 retail, and they're selling for like They were £250. They're restocked the other day. They're now more £200, but £150 profit on one box of Pokemon.
Wild, man. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like this year in general has been, I don't know, considering where we were like last year or coming out of lockdown a couple of years ago. It's like to see what like the volume and the pace that things are moving. It's
interesting
wild.
You say like comparing to kind of like you were going to say this time last year, but actually, if you think back, so the last episode of this podcast we filmed was I think March or April 2024. The reason we then slowed down on that was because of reselling being really good.
Yeah, it got too busy.
Actually, reselling's kind of been consistently growing and getting better since then. So start of 2024. I remember, I think the first few months of 2024 weren't that great.
Yeah, they never normally are.
No,
but this year has been crazy.
The first, like, January and February is notoriously just dead.
Yeah.
Like, almost to the point where you could probably just not bother. Like, not bother reselling, just chill out for a couple of months. This year has been insane.
Yeah.
We're now no longer in those early stages of the year, but this January was crazy. And every one of our members would agree with that as well. Everyone was baffled, like, what's going on?
Even just like restocks of things, like the Travis Scott Velvet Brown, like fucking
When did they actually drop?
Restocking loads. Like a couple of months ago now. They dropped.
Was it December?
I can't remember. Fuck knows. So many releases at this point. It's hard to remember. But yeah, it's been wild. Even like Supreme's, you know, I would say doing well. With Supreme, I think GH had such a good comment in the group, and I think you can apply this to kind of like a lot of things in life, but especially with Supreme and reselling, it's not necessarily acquiring the item, it's acquiring the sale. But like my point was, you know, Supreme has been doing well.
It's kind of like
people as well.
Supreme and Palace, and then some even more niche brands. I mean, some people still sell Broken Planet.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Which is crazy, because to me that trend's dead and buried. But
it's crazy.
there's a lot, and things like Chrome Hearts. Like, members in our group are not reselling Chrome Hearts, but there's a market for it if you have the right buyers. And the same kind of goes for Supreme. Most weeks, there's one or two items that we target alongside our group targeting. But then there's often 5 or 6 other items every single week that they do sell out. And there is a market for it, and there's people buying them. But knowing who those people are and having those clients is the hard part.
Yeah. And that's where the value
There's only
lies.
a few bits every week that are good on like eBay, StockX, etc.
I mean, we've got a ton of... I think this list must go over into next week because we've got too many things to talk about. But like, we've got the Corteiz Air Max 95, which we'll touch on quickly. Pink Foam Neon, which we discussed. P6000s, Unions that came out.
There's so
fucking
many releases.
wild.
I think
obviously.
Actually, in one of the deleted episodes, which we'll never see, I think you asked me what was my most like underrated release recently, and weirdly, my response was and still is the Unions, because although they're like everyone knows about them, they're super hyped. I still feel like that shoe, if that had come out in 2019.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
It would be like £800.
Yeah,
and it was, to be fair, for like a couple weeks before the release. It was super high, but the price on that shoe now is still good. Like, if you bought for retail, you're still making good profit. But in my eyes, that's a super overlooked shoe.
Yeah, 100%.
In a sense, therefore makes it underrated, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, mate, like even P6000s, that's a weird shoe because of the import world, but I mean, we sell so many of those, and who would have thought that a P6000 was reselling?
Yeah, it's like I kind of put them in the same vein as Asics. Like, P6000s, Asics. It's like white and metallic shoes. Yeah, they're like dad shoe vibes. They're doing very well at the moment. Have you seen the Jound ones?
No. Are they nice?
They're super nice.
I might have seen them. Well. I probably have.
I think there's 3 silhouettes. One's a Gel Carno 14, which is going to just
I've seen that.
super well.
Yeah.
And then they're restocking the most recent ones they did. 2160s, were they called? I can't remember all the Asics.
Honestly, my mind goes blank these days. I don't even bother trying to keep up with it, like in general, because there's so much going on. But should we do the giveaway or not?
Yeah.
Shall we?
So if you have listened/watched this far, then we're going to give away a pair of Corteiz Honey Blacks.
In UK 9?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what size. Let's do UK 9.
Yeah.
We got a lot of pairs of these. If you've seen our TikToks and social media
That was the first video where Luke went viral.
Yeah. How many views has it got?
Fucking hell, mate. I mean, like over 200,000, which is pretty... Actually, let me check. It's quite a lot for us.
It is, yeah. Yeah, we're not typically... Our content... Because the thing is, we make content very much like for ourselves. which ends up therefore
210,000 views, mate.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty wild.
So go watch that if you want to know how many
13,000
pairs
likes,
we've got.
mate.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That is a lot. A lot of fucking idiots in the comment section as well. But
the funniest part is like people pretending like they know that they can read Clint's mind.
yeah, and also like the
you
classic,
mustn't know Clint then. It's like, mate, I've been following that brand since before it was even called Corteiz.
mate, and also as well, like the classic TikTok comment, "Oh, you're the reason why I didn't get it." It's like, no, you could have got it easily. Easily, if you just did
4 chances.
A small amount of put in a small amount of effort. Basically,
There was 3 chances online and 1 chance in person.
Yeah, they were like easy to get.
If you didn't buy them for retail, you have no right to complain about that.
People love a fucking moan in a TikTok. Mate,
we'll give away a pair at some point in the near future. To enter, we'll do the giveaway inside our Discord. There's a free section inside our Discord. So if you click the link in the bio, it's the fairest way to do it.
It is, yeah.
If you click the link in our bio,
marketing genius,
sign up for the free Discord. You don't have to pay anything, and then we'll do the giveaway inside there. But your entry is only valid if you drop a comment on this video.
Nice. So, there we go.
There you go. And you'll win an £200+ shoe for free because we're just such nice people.
There we go. I'm going to get it out
let's
now.
talk about this release, okay? Obviously, briefly mentioned it there, but what's your thoughts on it? They've grown on me because we made the last podcast and I was saying I really don't rate them, but they've definitely grown on me.
I mean, I like the way Clint does stuff, to be honest with you. I think.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. That was never in question. It was more just
the shoe itself.
Yeah, the shoe itself.
Yeah, I like him. I think this is my favourite one. I'm not a fan of camo. That's my only thing. But
you can't see it on that, right?
Yeah, this is why
I think
it
is actually camo though.
Yeah, inside, it's a dark camo. But yeah, I love them, mate. I love the laces. I love the material. I love the sort of netting. Yeah, it's definitely my favourite one so far. I think it's wicked, mate.
I can't pick a favourite, to be honest. I think pink beams for me, but actually, the more I see these, the more I'm like,
sick, yeah.
Like, you can't really go wrong with an all black.
No, you can't, man.
And the fact that we're like sneakerheads and resellers, you can't just wear a plain all black MS95. So
yeah, man, they're nice.
Corteiz one.
I like them a lot. So yeah, let's talk about that one in the next episode because I feel like we need to make notes and shit and just fucking. There's so much to talk about with that drop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that went into that.
There's a lot of moving parts on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But
we had I obviously mentioned I was wearing the Bape Crocs.
They're not on my list. There we go. Bape Crocs. Fucking hell. Yeah, that was a wild one. Mate, we sold a pair yesterday on a StockX consignment for like £110 profit.
Yeah, crazy.
That's
I love
that
payout
shit
as well, isn't it?
So good, yeah. I mean, that was a wild one.
The Bape Crocs was a funny release, and I'm trying to think back because now stuff moves so fast.
I completely forgot about that.
That was a funny drop. So actually, on the topic of Crocs, today we had a restock of the Lightning McQueen, the Lightning McQueen, and the Meta Crocs from Cars. That was the first time they properly restocked in a while. But Bape Crocs. Definitely, in my opinion, the nicest Croc collaboration ever. I think I'm confident in saying that. That's my opinion, of course. But that release was really fun. We copped a lot of pairs. It was a tough release for the most part, for most people. But right timing. You were able to check out early. So the day before the release, we basically cleared as much stock as we possibly could. And then on release day, obviously... picked up a few more pairs, members picked up pairs, and then there were a few further restocks from there. But the profit on those, what was retail? 80? £80 retail, we're selling...
We're getting like 180.
Yeah, selling for like £200 basically.
I'm dying over it.
Take into account some fees and stuff. But
yeah, it's wild, mate. It's again, just like the releases that we've had this year and how fun they've been, mate. They've been
super fun. I also find that like our ability to find these more low-key drops. I'm not saying the Bape Crocs release was low-key as such, but I would argue that if we're talking competitively, other resellers and groups did not come close to the amount of pairs we hit on that.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about like, detecting these low-key things, because it's one thing knowing that a release is coming out. You know, everyone's got Sneaker News and Soul Supplier and these websites where you can find upcoming releases, but actually knowing when and where they've dropped and what methods to use to secure them that's the hard part now.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it many times before, mate. The barrier to entry with reselling and people starting groups was so low, especially in lockdown and out of lockdown. And now it's at the point where like you clearly see when people, I don't want to say don't know as much because that makes it sound really arrogant, but like, I guess what you're saying. You see that like, oh, not many people went for this. Why? It's so obvious to like us and other people in the group.
The thing is that like a lot of the time they are trying to go for it, but they don't actually know like how to buy it. It's even just mentioned then about the Crocs drop this morning. The Bape Crocs one was one example. The Crocs drop this morning, like if you knew they were restocking, it wasn't hard. They put it on the Crocs website and on the Crocs Instagram, but if you don't know how to look into the Crocs back end, you wouldn't have known that they were dropping at specifically 7:59 a.m. If you logged onto the website at 8 a.m., all the good sizes were gone already. But even logging on at 8 a.m. was pointless because Crocs didn't tweet out or send the email out till 8:30. They were long gone by 8:30. Well, actually, I think small sizes were still in stock, but it just goes to show like a lot of people, not so much anymore, but we used to get a lot of comments on our content that was like, oh, why do I need your group? It's £30 a month. It's like
£30 a month is nothing. We worked out before VAT and tax and actually just before those two things, let alone like overheads.
You mean after?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, after. But after tax and VAT, it's like less than 70p a day to be in the group.
Well,
and like,
as in that's how much they're paying.
Yeah. So it's wild, man. It's like an absolute fucking no-brainer. But yeah, again, we don't want to make this an advert for the group.
It's so easy to, though.
So fucking easy to, and we're trying hard not to. So I think moving on from this episode, what we're going to do is have a couple guests on that are in this world that we love. You know, like whether it be streetwear, shoes, releases, people that work for brands, people that are collectors, resellers, whatever it may be. Yeah, again, we don't just want it to be about reselling. Like, we love it, and it's always gonna be something that we naturally talk about, like we just have. But like, you know, I think everything that we are going to talk about is a part of reselling in some way or another, whether it is reselling or it isn't, or people care about it or they don't. Like, whether it's shoes, streetwear, fashion, like creative, whatever it may be, we're going to talk about it. So I think that's probably it for the first episode. I've been keeping an eye on the clock. We're just over half an hour. So we're going to keep these episodes kind of short and quick and snappy so we can keep being consistent with them. Because as we spoke about before, Paragon is literally just me and Luke. So buying, selling, shipping, content, the group, like it's fucking so full on.
I didn't even mention how,
like
I was saying about how busy we are with just the reselling in the group, and then you add in the content on top of that.
Yeah, I'm literally shooting this podcast thinking, okay, I've got to package up that, go collect that, get to the post office before blah, blah, blah. Put this.
This is also how Eddie's brain works, if you didn't know.
Yeah, you probably see what I would love to see, right? If you watch this back on YouTube and watched it in like double time, triple time, you wouldn't have moved.
Yeah, I don't think I've moved.
And I've probably moved like 15,000 times.
And
it's the yin and yang.
Our brains work the same. The other thing I was going to say, like obviously got all of that, and then we also run a creative agency on the side.
Yeah.
Well, I say on the side as well as. So that's, you know, we apologize obviously for not making the podcast because, you know, we know some of you guys enjoy it. And I think
that's it.
That took us by surprise.
That did,
right?
massively.
And we get like just trickling in over time. You get comments, or even within like Discord servers, like random Discord servers where I'd say something and then someone would pop up and be like, oh, when's the podcast coming back?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, people actually do.
It's cool to hear
this.
because like when you shoot this, obviously it's me and Luke in our little studio, and that's as far as it goes, and we don't think anyone listens or cares. But it's cool to know that, you know, people do.
If you want to keep motivating us, just do the usual stuff. Yeah. So drop a comment. Well, you've got to drop a comment anyway to get entered into the giveaway. But drop a comment, like, subscribe, share it, all of that good stuff. It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
So please help us out.
We appreciate it, mate. And mainly, I guess you're listening on Spotify or Apple. wherever you get your podcast from, but this will also be on YouTube. We're probably going to add like as many pop-ups as possible to make it
as many as we can be bothered to do.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's
most
fucking long.
viewers and
And if
listeners
there's-
at this point know what we're talking about.
If there's an editor out there that is in this world that wants a job, message us. I'm not even joking.
If you already know about
yeah.
shoes and what we're
If
talking
you know about all of the shit that we've spoken about and you want some money to edit a podcast, then reach out.
But if you've got any ideas, so like Eddie said about guests, we're open to ideas for guests, topics, things you want to talk about. I definitely think next week we're going to cover a little bit about reselling as a whole, but also some old stories, because we have that's like the main thing we kind of get requested is like a lot of people follow me from the old days of where I used to bot a lot in the US, where it was a much bigger scale. So we'll touch on some stories like that. But if you've got any other ideas for episodes and topics, do let us know down below.
Yeah, and we'll see you in the next episode. We appreciate
thanks for
it.
listening, people. Peace out.
Bye, 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 bye.